Done.
Thank you. Hi, Bharat ji. Very warm welcome to all the participants. Ashwini sir, आप बोल पा रहे हो?
हाँ हाँ मैं बोल रहा हूँ, फिर मैं पहले करूँ जब क्या कर रही हूँ?
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल आप करिए इंट्रोडक्शन।
चलो, थैंक यू वेरी मच। सॉरी, मेरे को कहीं आना पड़ गया, तो इस वजह से नेहा जी, हमारे जो संजय जी की बेटी और जो हमारे को फाउंडर वॉइस ऑफ सीए, वो आज का प्रोग्राम आपका मिनट टू मिनट देखेगी। तो सॉरी, बत्रा जी से मैं माफ़ी चाहता हूँ कि वैसे तो ये हमने प्रोग्राम जो किया था वो इट इज़ ए सीरीज ऑफ द बजट प्रोग्राम्स, जो मैंने पहले भी अनाउंस किया था कि हम बजट के दिन बत्रा जी का और गिरीश ओझा जी का प्रोग्राम रखते हैं। लेकिन इस वजह से इस बार हमने वो ज्वाइंट प्रोग्राम रखने के कारण दो जगह से वो ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाए बत्रा जी, तो हमने इसको डेफर कर दिया था यूनियन बजट की जो अमेंडमेंट्स आई हैं। तो एक तो आज हमने बत्रा जी को रिक्वेस्ट की कि हम यूनियन बजट की वो अमेंडमेंट्स के बारे में चर्चा करेंगे, और उसके बाद जो अमनेस्टी स्कीम है, आई थिंक कि वो 31 मार्च तक एप्लीकेबल है, 30 मार्च तक है अवेलेबल हमें। तो उसके बारे में भी बत्रा जी हमें बताएंगे कि हम उसका बेनिफिट कैसे ले सकते हैं, जो हमारे पुराने विवाद हैं उनको खत्म कर सकें। और तीसरा, रेंटिंग ऑफ इमोबल प्रॉपर्टी, जो कि अभी 3-4 महीने पहले ही क्लैरिटी आई है कि वो लगेगा अगर आप कमर्शियल यूज कर रहे हो, लेकिन उसमें भी काफी कंफ्यूजन है जहां हम बना के बैठे हैं। तो उसके बारे में भी मैंने सर को रिक्वेस्ट की है कि उसके बारे में भी बताएंगे आपको। तो इन सब शब्दों के साथ मैं आप सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं वॉइस ऑफ सीए और चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट एसोसिएशन की तरफ से। आप सबका जो अभी भी हमारे साथ 120 मेंबर जुड़ चुके हैं। और आज जैसे इनकम टैक्स एक्ट न्यू बिल, नोट एक्ट, इनकम टैक्स न्यू बिल भी पार्लियामेंट में पेश हो गया है, इसके बारे में भी मैं आपको अश्योर करता हूं कि वी विल बी द फर्स्ट टू कम टू यू विद टैक्स गुरु सीए डॉक्टर गिरीश ओझा जी, बाय वे ऑफ अ वेरियस capsule program or detailed program, as and when Girish ji will allow us to arrange the programs. So we will also arrange the first programs at Voice of CA Association, or by way of seminars, etc. We will inform you as and when we will plan the same with the Guruji. तो ज्यादा टाइम ना लेते हुए, over to Neha ji to kindly introduce Batra ji and start the proceeding. Thank you.
थैंक यू सो मच सर। बत्रा सर को कोई इंट्रोडक्शन की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। आई थिंक दिस सारी ऑडियंस आज सर को सुनने के लिए आई है कि यूनियन बजट में जीएसटी के एस्पेक्ट में क्या चेंजेस आए हैं। जस्ट स्टार्ट करने से मैं एक छोटा सा आपको ये भी बताना चाहूंगी कि एक और वेबिनार हम 15th को लेके आ रहे हैं एट 5 PM, जिसमें हम लोगों ने टॉपिक रखा है ऑल यू नीड टू नो अबाउट एलएलएम कोर्स एंड बियॉन्ड विद एडवोकेट वरुण। He will guide you on the process of LLM, why LLM, and opportunities after LLM. So do join us on 15th as well. And thank you so much आज ज्वाइन करने के लिए। बत्रा सर, थैंक यू सो मच, आज आपने हमारे सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स के लिए टाइम निकाला कि हम उनको थोड़ा सा फर्दर इन डेप्थ एनालिसिस दे पाए ऑन जीएसटी अमेंडमेंट्स इन द बजट। ओवर टू यू सर, मोस्ट वेलकम।
Thank you, Neha. First of all, my thanks to the Voice of CA for providing me this opportunity, wherein I can talk to my professional colleagues on the subject of union budget. Though it is now 30th day, 13th day, rather I should say, when the budget was presented on 1st, and today we are sitting on 12th. I think everybody has gone through those amendments. But I would like to touch upon each and every amendment, and particularly the object and purpose and how it is going to impact our practice. As a professional, though the change seems to be very short or small or maybe insignificant, but it may have very wide ramification. So this budget is something like this. I'll say nuclear budget where some minor amendments have been made, but it will have a huge impact on the commerce industry and also the professionals. So friends, without wasting any time, if we talk about the changes, then the first amendment is in section 2, clause 61, which deal with the definition of input service distributor. As the name itself suggests, that input service distributor is an office of the supplier of services wherein he can distribute the credit for the supplies received from the third party to the office where such services have been consumed. In fact, if you look at the scheme of the input service distributor, there was a shortcoming that whatever interstate RCM liability was being discharged, there was no provision to distribute that credit. So now they have amended Section 20, subclause 1 and 2, and also the definition of input service distributor to add, subject to the provision of subsection 3 and subsection 4 of section 5. That means now you can distribute the whole credit belonging to the services provided by third party, which are being used by other branches or offices which are registered. So that means it is applicable only in the case of an assessees who are having multi-locational registration, and more than one registration. So there is already a mechanism laid down in 20. But you can say how it is significant. We have all heard about this. Kindly appreciate that with effect from 1st April 2025, ISD, which was a discretionary mechanism, is going to be a mandatory mechanism now. Even the department issued a circular number 199 on 17th July 2023, wherein they said that you can either cross-charge your branches or ISD, you can apply any of the formula, because this issue was not clear at the initial stages. So they have provided certain reliefs in that circular. So I'll suggest you to read that circular also. But not only that, kindly appreciate, because it is going to be mandatory. So now we need to understand the difference between cross-charge and ISD provisions are going to be mandatory from 1st April 2025. I'll give you an example to explain this. We had sufficient time today. Let us say I am a chartered accountant having offices in 4 places: Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. Now, these 4 offices are in the name of 𝐀𝐬𝐡𝐨𝐤 and Associates and are duly registered with the department at each place. That is Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, and Madras. Now, I being sitting in the Delhi office, we appoint a security agency service to appoint, let us say, 2 guards at each of the offices. That security service provide 8 guards, billing it to Delhi office, and 2 guards being appointed under each office, that is Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. Now the question is whether we can claim the credit. If you look at section 62, then 4 primary conditions, and then there is a condition of proviso. Second, we have to make the payment within 180 days, and now another condition that the credit must appear in 2 weeks. So the fundamental 4 conditions were: I must have the duty paying document, I must have used such goods and services, I must have received such goods and services, supplier have filed the return, and the recipient has also filed, the supplier has paid the tax and recipient has filed the return. Now friends, if you apply these conditions, then you will appreciate that Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras office is receiving the services of security by one service provider, but they are not having any duty paying document. Similarly, Delhi is having a duty paying document for 8 guards, whereas it has received the services of only 2 guards. So therefore, this credit cannot be availed for 6 guards. Credit cannot be availed by any of the office. So therefore, this mechanism was there, and this mechanism clearly provides that you can issue the input service distributor invoice, which is one of the recognized duty paying document under Rule 36. So now once I am issuing the invoice of 6 guard, 2 each to my Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta office, so everybody is having invoice of 2 guard, and they are also receiving the services of 2 guard. So everybody can claim the credit. So it is the way wherein the loss of credit is being avoided, and the services supplied by the third party, for which the invoice has been received in one office, whereas the services have been utilized in multiple offices, can be distributed. So this is really important. And now, because it is mandatory, so wherever we must understand what is the distinction between ISD and cross-charge. Now I'll take the same example, 𝐀𝐬𝐡𝐨𝐤 and Associates having 4 offices. Let us say I am sitting in Delhi, then I had HR department in Delhi who keeps the accounting of the salary, etc. I had accounting department in Delhi. We keep the accounting of all the 4 offices in Delhi. We had an IT department in Delhi who looks after all the IT requirement of all the 4 offices. And for that purpose, we are incurring certain expenditure and paying GST on that. So in this case, it is not the service which is supplied by the third party, but it is the service which has been provided by the head office to the other 3 branches. And in terms of section 25, subsection 4, they are being treated as distinct person. So therefore, whenever I am doing the value addition and I am availing certain services and providing a different service to my offices, that is being called a cross charge. So from 1st April, wherever cross charge is applicable, you have to charge cross charge. And wherever ISD is applicable, you have to charge IST. So this is really important. And rest, in case you have any issue, I'll request Neha, even if the session goes 10 minutes more as scheduled, we will have question answer session at that point of time. You can note down your point and then we will answer those questions. In the meanwhile, you can put those questions in the chat box, etc. We will just read it at the end and answer it. Second amendment which is being proposed is again in section 2, subclause 69C, wherein the definition of local authority is being clarified. They have added, earlier on the word was local or municipal, now and word is being added. And not only that, I welcome Piyushji. And secondly, they have given the definition of local fund and municipal fund. Local fund means any fund under the control or management of the authority of a local self-government established for discharging civic function in relation to panchayat, and D is in relation to municipality. I would like to draw your attention to circular number 245, issued on 7th of January, wherein they have clearly stated that DDA is not a local authority. Now you can say there may be a clarity in the definition of local authority, but the question is, how does it going to implicate our practice? It has a very serious repercussion. If you look at GST law, then there are certain exemptions which are available to the local authority only. Central government, state government, local authority. So that means if TDA or GDA or maybe Punjab Development Authority, if there is any, I don't know. So all those are not satisfying or coming to the definition of local authority, so they are not entitled for that exemption. More importantly, if you look at from another point of view, reverse charge 13/2017, you will appreciate it has got a huge implication. In Noida, because of some professional opinion received by them, they were under that impression they are a local authority and they were issuing the notices to the assessees to discharge the liability at a reverse charge. Now, once this section is being amended, and prior to that, if it is not a local authority because it is only a clarificatory amendment, then the all show cause notices demanding service tax from the lessee for the lease deed which has been executed by the Noida authority as a lessor, I am not liable to pay tax under reverse charge because reverse charge is applicable when the supply has been made by the central government, state government or local authority. So kindly appreciate and see when you are reading the exemption or RCM notification, you must appreciate and see very clearly that what are the terminology which has been used. In exemption, somewhere they are using the word central government, state government, local authority, governmental entity. So now the clarification has come, which is making what is local authority. In reverse charge, it is central government, state government, local authority. So local authority, the clarity in the definition of local authority will make sure whether you are entitled for the exemption, what are your responsibilities, because you are not an authority. So whatever responsibilities are being put on the authority, exemption being given, it is not applicable to you. Even in RCM, you are not liable. Believe me, this notification has really helped me individually to a great extent because we are fighting couple of show cause notices which has been issued by GDA and Noida, considering them local authority, asking us to discharge the liability in the reverse charge. So this is the second amendment, though as I told you, nuclear budget, small amendment having wider impact on the exemptions and also reverse charge. Then friends, there is a third amendment again in section 2, wherein they intend to insert clause 116A, which deal with the unique identification mark. This is in addition to the e-way bill. There are certain commodities which are prone to tax evasion. And in fact, if you look at the VAT laws, then certain state government has already implemented this mechanism. In this mechanism, the government will notify the goods or the person who are in possession of these goods on which this provision will be applicable. And for that matter, a full section 148A is being proposed to be inserted. This mark has to be placed on those goods, and this mark will contain the information as suggested by the revenue, and the person who is dealing with these goods has to comply with the certain conditions. So this is in order to make evasion of tax, if not completely ruled out, at least to reduce the evasion tax on such commodities. In my humble opinion, that may be a tobacco, that may be other sin goods, or even can be metal. We have seen in the past also that on metal scrap, they have introduced the TDS provisions under section 51, so as to make sure that the transactions are being recorded and there is no tax evasion to that. So this is another one very big change. Of course, it has no implication as of now, because they have to notify the goods, they have to make out the rules which are to be followed. And of course, according to the language used in 148, it becomes clear it's a facility which will be provided by the government, and they may charge certain fees also for using that facility. So I will not call it a tax, this is a fees just to recover the administrative cost. What are the goods? I don't know, but as I have told you, it can be commodities which are prone to tax evasion, including tobacco and metal can be another item, maybe cement is another item. Then friends, we come to another amendment, which is deletion of section 12 subsection 4 and section 13 subsection 4 of CGST Act. These two sections deal with the time of supply of voucher. When the supply consists of goods, 12.4 is applicable. When the supply consists of service, then 13.4 is applicable. These are proposed to be deleted. This is again got a history. If you look at 55th GST Council, then they recommended that these prepaid vouchers are nothing but a prepaid instrument recognized by the RBI, and they are equivalent to money. They does not involve any transaction wherein supply is involved. They are only mode of making the payment, and they are as good as cash, pay order, or any digital media mechanism. They clarified in that circular that they are PPI approved by the RBI. Secondly, this also clarified that when there is no supply being made and the whole amount is being treated as income, which is being called breakage income in technical terms. So even that is not subject to tax because it does not satisfy the parameter of supply when there is no supply. You will also recall circular number 171, which deals with the fake invoicing. जहां उन्होंने ये कहा था कि in case you are issuing an invoice and the government cases those invoices are goodless invoices, then how can there be a tax liability? In the absence of any taxable event, there cannot be a tax liability. And in that circular, they clarified A, who is issuing these invoices, can be subject to only interest and penalties and prosecution. Similarly, B, who has taken the invoice and again issued the invoice, again there cannot be any liability because the allegation is he is issuing goodless invoices, taxable event is not there. So he is subject to two kinds of penalties, prosecution and other things, because he has committed two default. One, he has procured the goods, ITC, without, he has taken the invoice without goods and he has issued the invoice. Therefore, there cannot be any tax. So one fundamental principle which becomes very clear from these two circulars, 243 and 171, if there is no supply as alleged by the department, there cannot be any output tax liability. So now, once they have stated so, then they also stated it can be actionable claim. And if you look at Schedule 3, then they say actionable claim other than betting, gambling and lottery are neither supply of goods nor supply of service. And this is another reason that these vouchers are not subject to tax. So therefore, once these are not subject to tax, where is the point of taxation to be prescribed? So according to the department, this section has become redundant, so they are proposed to delete it. But friends, if you read that 243 circular very carefully, then you will find, in case you are acting as an agent and just promoting the voucher, then you are providing a promotional activity or advertising services in relation to the voucher, then you are liable to pay the tax. And now, in spite of these clarifications being coming, there is a specific circular to deal with that. In one of our case, the demand of 101 crore has been confirmed, treating us as the intermediary only, which is against the factual position. But in any case, still, as money itself is not subject to tax. But if you are a money changer, then whatever amount you charge for exchanging the money, that is converting rupee into dollar, dollar into rupee, are you not liable to pay the tax? Similarly, if you look at securities, stockbroker, if your securities are neither securities are excluded from the definition of goods. But then if you are dealing in securities, you are making two persons and meeting each other, and then you're charging money, then what is the position? Are you not liable to pay the tax? Similar situation is there in the vouchers also. But because now the department says that these are neither supply of goods nor services, so they are proposed to delete this. Next amendment, lot more has been discussed about it. That is section 17(5) subclause D, where the word plant or machinery now been replaced by plant and machinery with effect from 1st July 2017. And then to be doubly sure, they have put up explanation 2. In spite of the fact anything has been stated by any court judgment, etc., the credit shall, this plant or machinery will be deemed to have been inserted from 1st July 2017. So with this explanation, as well as the change in the language, they simply say it is a typographical error. We all know the background of this case. Safari retreat Odisha, then went travel to the Odisha, wherein the Odisha High Court read down the provision and allowed the credit to the person who was leasing the mall and giving it on lease, which is subject to GST. Their argument was, when the builder is providing a construction service or builder services, then he is eligible to claim the credit. So why not this gentleman who is, after constructing the mall, giving it on lease? So they read down, they didn't struck down the provision. Matter went to Supreme Court, and we have seen such a huge judgment, and then making a distinction between C and D, plant and machinery, functionality test, etc. Now with this amendment, proposed amendment, they have nullified the safari retreat. One thing is very clear, safari retreat, you need not read now, understand it, this is as good as 17C, so far as plant and machinery is concerned, but all is not lost. Because Supreme Court, in the case of telecommunication services, has very clearly stated what is immovable property. Even in the case of telecom tower prefabricated structures, they had to be a movable one. So wherever movable things are there, you can still claim the credit. And on his own account also, they have not touched it. That has also been explained by Supreme Court in Safari Retreat. So all doors are not closed. If you are not given a consolidated or a comprehensive contract for construction of hotel along with fixture and fixtures, and if there are different contracts, then some of the contract may still be eligible in spite of this amendment being made. I'll give you an example. For example, hotel and cinemas were ruled out even in the Safari Retreat itself, saying they are not the tools as per the definition of 𝐁𝐚𝐭𝐫𝐻 Supreme Court. Now, friends, if in that hotel I am putting up a, let us say, sound and audio system, what will happen to that? Can't we, that sound system be taken it is not becoming part of that, even I get the completion certificate without that, will I not get the credit? In my humble opinion, yes. This we have opined in one of the opinion we have very recently given to one of our client who is constructing a hotel, and there is a huge contracts for this audio-visual system, PBX system. So all those contracts, wherever you can say that this is not immovable property, you are out from 75C and D both. And plant and machinery definition, if you are getting covered there, because they have ruled out three things, so there are still a scope for claiming some credit. So you can claim credit if you fall under plant and machinery, number one. Number two, if it is movable, because the works contract definition as given in clause 119 of section 2 very clearly says construction, erection, commissioning, installation, completion, fitting out, repair, maintenance, renovation, alteration, building, fabrication, modification of immovable property. So if it is not immovable, even then you can claim. Now friends, after saying so, now we are coming to section 34, which deals with the credit note. Of course, debit note, there is additional liability, no problem. If you pay the tax, the other party will get the credit. So in debit note, there is no issue. In the case of credit note, there can be two scenarios. One, you can issue a credit note under section 34. And secondly, you can issue a commercial credit. Now, I always suggest my client, don't go for credit note under section 34 and only issue commercial credit notes. I'll explain it to you. For example, I have made a supply of rupees 100, charging 18 rupees as tax. So I have paid 18 rupees, you have claimed the credit for 18 rupees. Now for any reason, because the deficiency of service, that is one of the reason, or the value of tax or value of supply has been wrongly taken. So I am issuing the credit note for rupees 10 and I want to reduce my tax liability of 1 rupees 80 paisa. So once I issue a credit note of rupees 10, wherein I want to reduce my 180 tax liability as output tax liability, I'll be entitled to that benefit only when the ITC has been reversed by the recipient. There was no mechanism available, number one, to verify. Number two, what is the significance of doing this? That means you are saying you will get a credit of 10, you have to reverse 180 rupees ITC. So therefore, I want to give you a benefit of 8 rupees 80 paisa. So why don't you issue the commercial credit note for 8 rupees 80 paisa? Matter ends, it is not to be reported anywhere. But in any case, because of SAP and some companies, those who have policy, no, we can't change the invoice and all that, we cannot do this calculation, we want to reverse our liability. So this 34 is being amended to align with section 15(3), subclause Roman 2. वहां क्या था, in case you are given a post supply discount, then that discount which I have given it to you, I can reduce my output tax liability only when the credit has been reversed by the recipient. Similar provision they have brought in here. So they say, now you want to issue the credit note, you will get the credit only when that ITC is being reversed by the recipient. And for that matter, section 38 is also proposed to be amended. There are a couple of changes being made. Certain words has been removed, specified, etc. And word has been removed and replaced by another word. But the overall impact of that amendment is that now in the case of invoice management system, when I am issuing the invoice, you can either accept it, reject it, or you can remain silent. And in that case, the reporting of the supplier shall be treated as final. But now they say in the case of credit note, either you have to accept it or reject it. So that this mechanism is also available. If I am accepting the credit note, so I am accepting, I will reduce my tax liability. That is available on the system. And if I say I am not accepting the credit note, then he cannot reduce the tax liability. So as a businessman, government is acting as a businessman. अगर 10 रुपए की liability supplier की कम होगी, वो तभी होगी जब ITC 10 रुपए का वो reverse करेगा. Then friends, section 39, which deals with the filing of 3B, which is the main return nowadays. They have prescribed that you have to file the return within such time. And now they are adding the word subject to such conditions and restrictions. They have already put up certain conditions. For example, GST-1 for the month of April cannot be filed unless you file GST-1 for the month of March. You cannot file 3B for the month of April unless GST-1 is being filed. But it was not coming out clearly to provide all those amendments as statutory backing and prescribing the conditions, subject to which you will get the condition also. And section 38, which came out with there may be certain credit which is not allowed to you. So now the government has taken a huge power wherein they can say you have to file your return and your credit will be available subject to such terms and conditions as may be prescribed. After that, another amendment which is again hitting to the dealers who are engaged into godless supplies of services or goods. In terms of section 107, subsection 6, in case the tax is involved, then you have to pay the admitted tax in full and 10% of the disputed tax, rest of the demand is being stayed. But when it comes to penalty under section 129, which deals with the detention of vehicle and goods in transit, in that case, as you know, you are liable to pay 25% of the penalty as a pre-deposit. Now that proviso is being substituted, and according to the new proviso, wherever you are filing an appeal which involves an element of penalty only, then you are liable to pay 10% of the penalty amount as pre-deposit. Corresponding amendment has been made in section 112, which deals with the appeal to the appellate tribunal. Now you look at the objective. One way one can say I am being benefited. Earlier on, I was supposed to pay 25% of the penalty as pre-deposit, but it was all theoretical. Practically, if the goods or truck has been seized, you have to pay the penalty, then only they release the goods. You have already paid the amount, so pre-deposit was inconsequential. But in any case, even if you have not paid the amount, then you are liable to pay penalty only up to 10%, meaning thereby, instead of 25%, 10% penalty is to be paid. So there is a reduction in the liability, and even we include the amount of tribunal, it is less than the amount which you are liable to pay to the commissioner. But now the serious implication of it. Those who are indulged into goods-less supplies, they were, as I told you in circular number 171, there cannot be output tax liability. If there was no tax liability, then ultimately I am contesting only the penalty and prosecution. If I am contesting the penalty and prosecution and there was no amount to be paid as pre-deposit, then in spite of the fact I am indulged into the most heinous crime in GST, yet I am not liable to pay any pre-deposit. With this amendment, those people are likely to be affected very badly. Now the question comes, we have seen a lot of orders which has come on 3rd, 4th and 5th of February being getting time barred under section 74 for the year 17-18. So those traders are lucky because this proviso will firstly enacted, then it will notified and applicable for the appeals which are to be filed on or after that date. And now because these orders have been passed earlier on when this levy is not there, in terms of Article 20 also, you cannot penalize me more than what has been stated on the day when the default has been committed. Then friends, kindly appreciate, they can file an appeal without any pre-deposit. But in subsequent year 18-19 onwards, whenever it will be there, it will be a very, very huge task to meet this challenge, because in the case of fake invoicing, they get only 1 or 2% amount as a commission, and this penalty amounts are very, very huge. And very interesting part is, unlike the tax amount where there is a cap of 20 crore each yet, here there is no cap also. If the penalty is, let us say, 500 crore, then you are supposed to deposit 10% of that, 50 crore each. There is no capping also. I think that appears to be a drafting error or whatever, I don't know, because they want to penalize these people very badly, so they may not amend it also. Let us see what is going to happen. But at this stage, it is a very huge development which has taken place and is going to hit the people who are indulged into these kind of activities. So the government is not leaving any stone unturned to ensure that those who are indulged into this kind of tax evasion activities, they must be penalized in terms of finance also, prosecution also, and other things also. Then friends, the last amendment which is there is in Schedule 3. Earlier on, whenever I was having goods in my warehouse and I'm selling it before clearing for domestic tariff area, it was neither being treated as supply of goods nor a supply of service. Then the warehouse was defined as per the Custom Act. Now they have brought, even if you are releasing the goods either from SCZ or FTWZ, Free Trade Warehousing Zone, before export or clearing for domestic tariff area, then it will be equated as if it is in foreign territory. It will neither be treated as supply of goods nor a supply of service. But friends, kindly appreciate, this amendment has been made with effect from 1st July 2017. And those who have unfortunately paid the tax interest, they say no refund shall be available to all of them. But in the rest of the cases, this is again a retrospective amendment from 1st July 2017, equating the warehousing goods with the goods located in SEZ and FTWZ, with the only difference that the meaning of SEZ, FTWZ is being not as per the Custom Act, but as per the SEZ Act 2005. With this, I am concluding my one part of the deliberation, which Ashwini Jindal ji has told me to deal with that. Second part, I don't know, he says there is a confusion in RCM liability with regard to residential and commercial property. In my humble understanding, I'll just go to the definition and tell you what is the confusion. I think Jindal Sahab was confused, so he thought everybody is confused. But anyway, I am referring to this notification, deals with the reverse charge. Services by way of renting of residential dwelling to a registered person. We all know that residential dwelling is not subject to GST. आपने अपना बंगला किसी को रहने के लिए दिया, आपने अपना अपार्टमेंट किसी को रहने के लिए दिया, आपने हॉस्टल में कोई फैसिलिटी किसी को रहने के लिए दी, रेजिडेंशियल ड्वेलिंग है, कोई टैक्स नहीं है. But then they say if the service has been provided to any registered person, the one who is registered with the department, then this exemption is not available, is liable to pay the tax. The question came, if I am a proprietor, which was the problem of Mr. Jindal, I am the proprietor of Messrs. 𝐁𝐵 Company, and I took a house. I am a registered person, he is a supplier, any person. Am I liable to pay tax and reverse charge? Then the department, in its clarification of press release after the 54 GST Council, use these terms. I am just reading it as it is. No GST is payable where the residential dwelling is rented out to a registered person if it is rented in his or her personal capacity for use as his or her own residence on his own account and not on account of his business. So अगर आपने residential dwelling ले ली, उसको guest house use कर लिया, you are a limited company or partnership firm, you are liable to pay the tax. But in case you are a proprietor or a partner of a firm, you have taken that premises on rent for your personal use, and it is not proprietorship firm, which has nothing to do with this. Therefore, no reverse charge mechanism so far this is concerned. Then friends, on 10th October 2024, item 5AB was introduced in notification number 30.
Head office, are you able to hear Batra sir?
No, not now.
Okay. I apologize for the technical error. He is joining. He's joining back. Sir, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Commercial renting was always taxable, but when I am receiving the property from unregistered person, then I am subject to pay tax under reverse charge. So meaning thereby, अगर unregistered person की services 20 लाख से कम थी, और वो किसी को दे रहा था, he was not liable to pay tax. But now, because of this provision, I'm liable to pay the tax. Then this difficulty was pointed out to the GST Council. Those who are dealing in composition, those who have opted for the composition scheme and supplier of goods and services, in that case, they are not eligible for the credit. It is an additional cost to them. So, with effect from 16 January 2025, they have issued another notification 7/25, wherein they have clearly stated that when I am taking a premises other than residential premises, I am not liable to pay the tax under reverse charge if I am a person who has opted for the composition scheme. So this is what Mr. Jindal asked me to explain. If there is any query still, we can take it as we have already discussed. Now coming to the third and the last topic, that is amnesty scheme. जिंदल जी 31 मार्च कह रहे थे 31 मार्च is the date for payment of tax. You can file the SPL 1 or 01 up to 30th June 25. And in case of 74 notice within 7 months when the proper officer held that the fraud allegation is not applicable. Now coming to the basic structure first of all. Friends, this scheme is applicable from 1st July 2017 to 31st March 2018, that is 17-18, 18-19, 19-20. The only relevant provision is section 128 capital A, rule 164, circular number 238, 15th October. And on this 7th of February, 4 days down the line, the department has issued another clarification wherein they clarified that in the case of 73 notice or order under section 173(9) or 107, if the department has filed an appeal, still you are eligible for the benefit. This clarification has come on 7th February. So two clarifications from the department, circular number 164, 7th February, and applicable for 78, 18, 19, 19, 20. Show cause notice, which are non-fraud cases, that means under section 73, but not under section 74. If you read section 128 capital A, it starts with the non-obstinate clause, which override all the provisions of the Act. Waiver of interest and penalties there, you have to pay the tax fully. So let us say in a show cause notice, there were 4 issues. 1 you are admitting, 3 you want to dispute. You have to pay the full tax on all the 4 issues. Because this scheme is not applicable to the erroneous refund. If the issue of erroneous refund is also there, even then you are liable to pay payment to the refund.
Again, net issue, I think.
Yes. I will ask him to call the IT guy.
Oh.
Sorry, audience, he is resolving the issue and getting back to us very soon. सर हो गया रिजॉइन ये. सर
Sorry.
म्यूट।
Muted.
There is no refund. If you have paid the interest and penalty, you are eligible for the scheme. Even then, no refund will be allowed to you. Waiver application in the form of SPL 01 and 02 has to be filed by 30th June 2025. If you have filed an appeal against the order passed by under section 73 or 107 by to the Commissioner Appeal or Revisionary Authority, or maybe you have gone into the writ, all these writ, appeal, etc. are to be withdrawn. Tax liability for the purpose of calculating how much tax you are liable to pay, kindly make note, which is very, very important for all of us to understand, that the benefit of 16.5, which is being amended now, applicable for financial year, if I receive the invoice by a specified date, that benefit has to be calculated. For, let us say, there was a demand of ITC of rupees 100. Other liabilities were there for 20 and 30 rupees, totaling 150 rupees in dispute. 16.5 benefit is available for 30 rupees, so you have to pay only 120 rupees and not one. All orders under section 73, wherein the issue of erroneous refund is involved, amnesty is not available. If you have paid the tax late, etc., that is not interest on tax due, but it is interest on self-determination of tax, uska bhi benefit nahi milega. And no relief is being allowed in case you have filed your GST R1, etc. late. That late fees is filing of this, it is not interest and penalty on the tax due. Then friends, you have to submit the proof of withdrawal of appeal. In case you have filed a form SPL 1 or 2, no reply is being received within 3 months, the application is deemed to have been accepted. If the reply is received and he is not happy, he says you are not eligible, he will serve you a show cause notice in SPL 03. You have to reply that notice within 1 month in SPL 04. If he agrees, yes, your reply is satisfied, he can issue you SPL 05, which means your matter has been concluded. If he wants to reject your application, is not satisfied with your conclusion, then SPL 07 is to be issued. And where appellate authority allows an appeal after rejecting the initial application, then SPL 06, and SPL 08, where appellate authority has rejected your appeal. So this show cause notice, if decided by the proper officer, you can go in appeal, then the appellate authority may accept, may reject into that. If they accept, then the order is 06. If they reject, then the order is under 08. Important. I just want to tell you certain things where it is not applicable. In fact, I don't know. In my book, which we have released on this amnesty scheme, in referencer 5, we have given where this scheme is not applicable. Taxpayer who have already paid interest and penalty, as I told you, no interest. Taxpayer by whom the amount is payable on account of erroneous refund, no applicability. And then taxpayer where interest has been demanded on account of delay filing of returns, GST 1 or 3B, or where tax has been paid late, no immunity for that payment also, because that is not interest and penalty. Rest, the department has clarified the issue in circular number 164. And in case you want to ask me any question now, because it is already 1654, so if there are any questions, we would like to take that. Or in case anybody is raising hand, you can ask me. I'll try to answer those questions.
हाँ सर, Q&A से मैं एक दो बता देती हूँ, then we will take raise hands also.
रेज किया हुआ हैंड उससे पूछ ले, जैसे मर्जी कर लीजिए, anyway.
हाँ सर, ये एक तो जो ओल्डेस्ट क्वेश्चन है मैं वहां से ले लेती हूँ. सो ममता जी इज आस्किंग, रिक्वेस्ट यू टू प्लीज री एक्सप्लेन क्रॉस चार्ज. और सर अंकित सर भी यही बोल रहे हैं. अंकित सर ये भी बोल रहे हैं, व्हाट आर द सर्विसेज टू बी इंक्लूडेड फॉर क्रॉस चार्ज पर्पस बाय कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिस इन अ स्टेट हैविंग रीजनल ऑफिस इन डिफरेंट स्टेट्स.
मैं इनको ना दूसरी तरह से समझाता हूँ, बड़ी लेमन लैंग्वेज में. जिस तरह से आईटीसी का मैकेनिज्म में सेल्फ सप्लाई को टैक्सेबल किया गया, सो दैट देयर इज नो ब्रेकेज ऑफ आईटीसी. सिमिलरली in the offices where GST is there, but there is no output tax liability, that credit should come back to the head office and the credit should not be wasted or cascading effect should be there. That is being called cross charge. मैं थोड़ा इसको डिटेल में बताता हूँ. Let us say I am an importer of goods. मैंने चाइना से इंपोर्ट करता हूँ. Management is in Delhi. Those are FMCG goods coming with a warranty of 2 years. Now, because the whole sale and the trade secret is in Delhi, management is in Delhi, they are making all the supplies pan India. So all the tax liability is in Delhi only. But because my customers are pan based and these products are subject to warranty, so I had opened 4 offices, let us say South, West, East, North, Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, Madras. अब उन ऑफिसेज में वो AMC की सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, बट दे आर नॉट अर्निंग एनी रेवेन्यू. कोई इनकम तो आ नहीं रही. एंड दे आर इंक्रिंग ह्यूज अमाउंट. They have employed the engineer, there is the office rent, there is the security services, there are other input services they have received, there is the purchase of consumables, etc., which are being used for the purpose of providing warranty services. So all those credit, what will happen? Now kindly appreciate in terms of section 25 subsection 4, 2 registrations are being considered as distinct person. अब जब वहां रेवेन्यू नहीं है और इसको इस तरह समझे कि दोनों अलग आदमी हैं, तो अगर मैं यही सर्विसेज किसी थर्ड पार्टी से लेता तो वो थर्ड पार्टी मुझे इनवॉइस करती. अब यहां क्या हुआ, उन्होंने मुझे सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड की टू द हेड ऑफिस एंड वी आर बीइंग ट्रीटेड एज डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन. सो दे कैन रेज एन इनवॉइस. लेट अस से मेरा वो खर्चा 10 लाख रुपए था, उसमें मैंने 1 लाख रुपए GST दिया, 11 लाख का खर्चा हो गया. मैं 12 लाख रुपए की बिलिंग जब हेड ऑफिस को करूंगा, it will help your segment reporting also. बेनिफिट निकालना है कॉस्ट सेंटर से, वो भी आपको हेल्प करेगा. सो जब आपने मुझे 12 लाख की बिलिंग की तो 12 लाख का क्रेडिट मेरे पास आ गया, आपने वो क्रेडिट यूटिलाइज कर लिया. नाउ दिल्ली ऑफिस कैन टेक बेनिफिट ऑफ दैट 12 lakh rupees. That means GST of 1 lakh or 110 whatever is the calculation. तो मुझे उसमें GST वेस्ट नहीं हुआ. ये कंट्रास्ट है क्योंकि डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन का कंसेप्ट तो सेम है, वो सप्लायर के लिए भी है. लेट अस से आई एम इन लुधियाना या आई एम इन जलंधर. मैं वहां पे स्पोर्ट्स गुड्स बनाता हूं 10 करोड़ रुपए की. अब जलंधर में तो अभी 10 करोड़ की सेल है नहीं, तो मैंने एक शोरूम खोल दिया गुड़गांव में, एक शोरूम खोल दिया नोएडा में और एक फरीदाबाद में. अब जब मैंने सप्लाई की टू माई फरीदाबाद और गुड़गांव और नोएडा ब्रांच और शोरूम, technically speaking there is no sale because they are the same person or the same pan. But then they say you are being treated as distinct, तो आप क्रेडिट को ट्रांसफर कर सकते हो. तो मैंने जो माल अपने शोरूम में क्रेडिट किया उस पर मैंने IGST लगा लिया. एज ए रिजल्ट ऑफ विच जलंधर का ITC सारा एब्जॉर्ब हो गया और वो ITC आ गया फरीदाबाद, गुड़गांव और नोएडा में. और जब मैं यहाँ से सेल करूंगा आई कैन एडजस्ट दिस. सो दिस इज इन रिलेशन टू अवॉइड द कॉस्केटिंग इफेक्ट. क्रॉस चार्ज इज रिवर्स, where any office is providing a service to some other office and that office may have less income tax liability or less GST liability or may have no liability, जैसे मैंने आपको उनका केस बताया. So we need to understand this concept of cross charge. एक तो मैंने आपको इंपोर्टर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बताया, मैं सर्विसेज के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से मैंने आपको एक बतला का एग्जांपल लिया था कि हमने 4 ऑफिसेज है. दिल्ली वाला हेड ऑफिस HR की सर्विसेज, अकाउंटिंग की सर्विस, IT की सर्विसेज दे रहा है. अब वो सारे क्रेडिट तो मेरे, सारे इनवॉइसेस या खर्चे तो मेरे यहाँ हो रहे हैं, बट आई एम नॉट यूजिंग दो सर्विसेज. तो 16(2) की कंडीशन भी सेटिस्फाई नहीं होती. तो अकॉर्डिंगली आई विल क्रॉस चार्ज माई ऑफिसेज टू whom I am providing these services, बॉम्बे, कलकत्ता, मद्रास, HR की या IT की या अकाउंटिंग की. एज ए रिजल्ट ऑफ विच that credit will shift to those offices where these services have been consumed. So in the case of cross charge, we are providing services from one office to another under the same pan, and these are being treated as distinct person, and these are subject to tax. Perhaps I have been able to make it clear now.
Thank you, sir. So Khwinder sir, please पूछिए अपना question.
हेलो, हाँ जी सर, मैम आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी बोलिए.
ओके, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर सच अ वंडरफुल डेलिब्रेशन। सर मेरे दो क्वेश्चंस हैं सर। सर पहला तो सेक्शन 128A से रिलेटेड है सर, जो एमनेस्टी स्कीम है। सपोज एक एसएससी की असेसमेंट हो गई, 73 में असेसमेंट हो गई, और उसने अपील का भी उसका ऑर्डर पास हो गया, जिसमें अपील में उसको रिलीफ नहीं मिली सर। अगर अपील में रिलीफ नहीं मिली तो क्या तो अभी वो सपोज 128 की एमनेस्टी स्कीम को लेना चाहता है, तो क्या अभी इस ऑर्डर के केस डिपार्टमेंट क्या अपील में जा सकता है सर?
अगर
क्योंकि जो
डिपार्टमेंट जाएगा भी तो मैंने आपको बताया देयर इज ए क्लैरिफिकेशन ऑन 7th of February, 4 दिन पहले ही आई है। उसमें उन्होंने कहा डिपार्टमेंट जाएगा तब भी आपको बेनिफिट मिलेगा प्रोवाइडेड यू आर सेटिस्फाइंग द कंडीशन। अगर आप 28 को पढ़े ना तो बड़ा क्लियरली कहता है, उसमें 3 सिचुएशंस हैं। एक तो 73(9) में, एक जहां ऑर्डर पास हो गया और आप अपील में हैं, आपको वो अपील विड्रॉ करनी पड़ेगी। ओनली एरिया ऑफ डिस्प्यूट कैन बी the language used is if the order has not been passed। तो क्या अगर मेरी अपील का टाइम निकल गया और मैंने अपील नहीं फाइल की तो क्या मुझे ये बेनिफिट मिलेगा? यहाँ डिपार्टमेंट थोड़ा सा तंग कर सकता है, बट इन आवर हम्बल अंडरस्टैंडिंग इवन यू आर एलिजिबल फॉर दैट क्रेडिट। चाहे डिपार्टमेंट अपील में जाए या ना जाए, बट यू हैव टू पे द टैक्स बिफोर 31st March 25।
ठीक है, चाहे उसको रिलीफ मिला हो जो एडजुडिकेशन लेवल पे या अपील लेवल पे या नहीं मिला, उसे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
अगर रिलीफ मिल जाता जाता ही क्यों एमनेस्टी में?
जी सर, जी जी जी,
नहीं मिला तभी जा रहा है। हाँ जी,
ठीक है सर। सर मेरा दूसरा सर क्वेश्चन जो था वो आईएसटी से रिलेटेड था। सर आईएसटी, मैं एक सपोज डीम्ड डिस्ट्रिक्ट पर्सन हूँ और मैं उसी स्टेट में लोकेटेड हूँ जहाँ पे मेरा आईएसटी लोकेटेड है। अब मेरे को सपोज किसी मेरे इंटरस्टेट सप्लाई ऑफ लीगल सर्विसेज की अगर हुई मुझे, तो मैं क्योंकि डीम्ड डिस्ट्रिक्ट पर्सन हूँ और मैंने उसको रिवर्स चार्ज में आरसीएम पे कर दिया उन लीगल सर्विसेज का। सब जब मैंने अब इसको जब ये वाला जो मेरे पास आईटीसी आ गया, जब मुझे अपने आईएसटी को पास ऑन करना है ये एज पर रूल 54(1)(a), तो क्या मैं इस ये अमाउंट जो है इसको मैं मतलब एज आईजीएसटी ही ट्रांसफर करूंगा या मैं इसको सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी की बिलिंग करूंगा?
सेक्शन 20 आप अगर पढ़ें आईजीएसटी एक्ट का तो आपको आंसर वहीं मिल जाएगा। यू कैन ट्रांसफर दिस as CGST, as IGST also, and IGST as CGST also। ये उन्होंने पहले ही उनको रिलीफ दिया हुआ है। The only problem was कि उसमें आपको इंटरेस्ट रेट का मेंशन नहीं था, सेक्शन 534 का, वो भी अब उन्होंने मेंशन कर दिया है। सो यू विल बी गेटिंग ऑल द बेनिफिट, और 1 अप्रैल से पहले जब से एप्लीकेबल होना ये नोटिफाई भी कर देंगे। मैं आपको सेक्शन 20
सर
जी
सर मैं इसमें सर आपका ध्यान सेक्शन 20 का सबसेक्शन 3 जो है उसकी तरफ दिलाना चाहूंगा सर, जिसमें ये वाली बात लिखी हुई है कि अगर कोई आईजीएसटी है तो उसको सीजीएसटी की तरफ से ही पास ऑन हो सकता है। लेकिन रूल 39(1) का आई क्लॉज देखेंगे तो वहां पे क्लियरली लिखा हुआ है कि जो आईएसटी है वो उसको हमेशा ही आईजीएसटी को आईजीएसटी की तरह ही ट्रांसफर करेंगे, वो आईजीएसटी को सीजीएसटी को ट्रांसफर नहीं कर
की तरह ही कर रहे हैं। लेकिन वो इनको पता था कि अगर C&S में नहीं करेंगे तो C&S का क्रेडिट वेस्ट हो जाएगा। देयरफॉर दे हैव स्पेसिफिकली प्रोवाइडेड, आई एम रीडिंग दिस सब रूल 2 सबसेक्शन 2, द इनपुट सर्विस डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर may distribute the credit subject to following condition। The credit can be distributed to the recipient of credit against a document, that is ISD invoice। The amount of credit distributed shall not exceed the amount। The credit or tax paid to the recipient shall be distributed only to the recipient। तो ये कंडीशंस हैं। फिर उन्होंने ये भी लिखा है कि आपको जो आप क्रेडिट आईजीएसटी का है वो सीजीएसटी में कर सकते हैं। तो ये फैसिलिटी आपको सिर्फ आईएसडी में अवेलेबल है, बाकी कहीं नहीं है।
तो नेटेड सर मतलब
स्पेसिफिक प्रोविजन इट विल प्रिवेल ओवर द जनरल प्रोविजन।
ओके, अगर रूल मेरा डिफरेंटली कह रहा है,
अगर मान लीजिए 73 में एग्जाम सप्लाई की डेफिनेशन दी फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ रिवर्सल, तो क्या हम एग्जाम सप्लाई की नॉर्मल डेफिनेशन में जा सकते हैं? नहीं चल सर, बिल्कुल ठीक है। तो ये स्पेसिफिक प्रोविजन है, इट शैल प्रिवेल ओवर द जनरल प्रोविजन।
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
सर नरेंद्र जी की एक क्वेरी है, सर व्हाट विल बी द जीएसटी implication of external development charges paid by land developers and builders to authorities such as PUDA, HUDA, GMADA, etc।
अगर बिल्डर एज ए प्योर एजेंट काम कर रहा है, बिकॉज ईडीसी इज द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द इंटेंडिंग बायर तब तो कोई इश्यू नहीं है, बट अगर वो मार्जिन ऐड करता है देन देयर इज अ लिटिगेशन, बिकॉज देन यू आर नॉट सेटिस्फाइड द कंडीशन ऑफ प्योर एजेंट।
सुनील सर, सुनील अग्रवाल सर, काइंडली अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड आस्क योर क्वेश्चंस। आपके 2 क्वेश्चंस हैं क्वेश्चन बॉक्स में।
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, मेरा क्वेरी है रेंटिंग ऑफ कमर्शियल प्रॉपर्टी में जैसे आरसीएम आया है तो टेनेंट अगर वो लैंडलॉर्ड अनरजिस्टर्ड है तो
आएगा कमर्शियल रेंटिंग में आरसीएम 2 सिचुएशन में है। नंबर 1, व्हेन दिस सप्लाई हैज बीन मेड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, लोकल अथॉरिटी। नंबर 2, when an unregistered person is supplying commercial property to a registered person. If both
Correct,
are
sir.
registered, then there is no RCM, then it is only forward charge.
तो सर अगर अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन सब्सिक्वेंटली अगर रजिस्टर्ड हो जाता है तो
जिस
फॉरवर्ड
दिन
में
से
शिफ्ट
हो
हो
जाएगा,
जाएगा।
जिस दिन से हो जाएगा, जिस दिन से चार्ज करेगा उसके बाद नहीं, उससे पहले का आपको देना।
तो इस केस में अगर अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन अगर आरसीएम दे रहा है बाई चांस उसका वो एडिशनल प्लेस जीएसटी रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट में एडिट नहीं है तो उसको आईटीसी लेने में कोई प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है?
उसको क्यों आएगा? आईटीसी तो आपने लेना है, आप रिवर्स चार्ज में
नहीं
जमा करना है, आपका तो खर्चा है। आईटीसी आपको मिलना है, उसको थोड़ी मिलना है।
नहीं, एज ए टेनेंट सपोज मैंने आरसीएम दिया और अपने जिस गोडाउन का दिया
वो तो कहीं
गोडाउन
पे
बाई
प्रॉब्लम
चांस
आएगी। वो तो अगर आपने जिस गोडाउन का दिया वो गोडाउन आपका एडिशनल प्लेस ऑफ बिजनेस नहीं है, तो वो तो कहीं पे भी आएगी। उसका और बहुत सीरियस इम्प्लीकेशन है। कल को सर्च होगी तो वहां का स्टॉक भी नहीं गिना जाएगा,
ठीक
आप सिर्फ
ठीक
आईटीसी भी
है,
खा
ठीक
सकते हो। उसमें तो
ठीक
बहुत
है,
सीरियस इम्प्लीकेशन है। इसको तो रेक्टिफाई करा लो जल्दी।
ठीक है। और जो रेजिडेंशियल केस में अब आरसीएम आया है इसमें अगर लैंडलॉर्ड रजिस्टर्ड हो जाता है तो हमेशा टेनेंट ही देगा रेजिडेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी अगर बिजनेस।
लिखा है वहां, अनरजिस्टर्ड कहाँ लिखा है? हाँ, तो मैं यही
अच्छा, वो एनी पर्सन। ठीक है, ठीक है सर, थैंक यू। ओके
सर, आपके पिछले वाले आंसर पे राहुल जी ने कमेंट लिखा है, बट सर रिवर्स चार्ज एंड गुड्स कैन नॉट बी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड इन केस ऑफ आईएसडी।
हमने कब कहा है गुड्स? हम तो सिर्फ बात ही सर्विसेज की कर रहे थे। मैं तो बार बार सिक्योरिटी गार्ड की बात कर रहा था। मैं तो कहा ही नहीं
मूविंग ऑन।
डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड। मैंने तो पहले ही कहा है, नेम इटसेल्फ सजेस्ट इनपुट सर्विस डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर। गुड्स के केस में तो बिल टू शिफ्ट हो जाएगा, फर्दर सप्लाई का बिल बन जाएगा। गुड्स के केस में तो और आसान है। मान लीजिए मैंने 80 लैपटॉप खरीदे ऑफिस के लिए, 20 मेरे हर ऑफिस को जाने हैं, तो मैं 20-20 का इनवॉइस बना दूंगा ना। या मैं सप्लायर को कहूंगा कि बिल टू शिफ्ट करो, 20-20 का इनवॉइस चारों को बना दो। अगर आपने 80 का इनवॉइस मेरे नाम बना दिया है, आई फर्दर सप्लाई टू माई ऑफिस। वहां आईएसडी की जरूरत ही नहीं है।
सर मूविंग ऑन, भरत जी पूछ रहे हैं इफ देयर इज सम माइनर डिफरेंस इन आईटीसी एज पर 2B and 3B वेदर इट इज अलाउड।
लॉ में माइनर और मेजर कहीं नहीं होता। अगर लॉ ये कहता है 2B में नहीं आ रहा, उन्होंने डिसअलाउ करना है तो करना पड़ेगा। अब आपको ये लिटिगेशन जो है डिपेंडिंग ऑन द अमाउंट इन्वॉल्व्ड, आप हाई कोर्ट तक जब जाएंगे तो ये किताबें सारी धरी रह जाएंगी, बिकॉज दे आर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल कोर्ट। They will say it is this property has paid the tax, whatever you have written, we are not concerned with that. How can you deny the credit? But till tribunal, you are not going to get any relief.
सर संचित जी पूछ रहे हैं इन द असेसमेंट ऑफ अ टैक्स पेयर इवन दो द टैक्स एंड इंटरेस्ट टू डिपॉजिटेड order has been issued under section 74 on 4th Feb 25 imposing considerable penalty।
कौन से साल का? 17-18 का?
सर एक मिनट आगे पढ़ देती हूँ मैं। Assuming that the amendment in section 107 is notified with effect from 1/4/25, would we be required to make pre-deposit if appeal is filed before 1/4/25? संचित जी।
एब्सोल्युटली नो। मैंने बड़ा क्लियरली कहा था कि दोज हु आर लकी जिनके ऑर्डर पास हो गए हैं, क्योंकि ये सेक्शन इनेक्ट होगा फिर नोटिफाई होगा, और जिस दिन से नोटिफाई होगा उस दिन के बाद के ऑर्डर पे लगेगा। अभी वाले ऑर्डर में प्री डिपॉजिट नहीं है, चाहे आप आज अपील जमा कराओ या 3 महीने बाद कराओ। इवन इफ दिस सेक्शन इज बीइंग नोटिफाइड, वहां प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है इफ इट, बट 3 महीने तक तो ये होने वाला नहीं है नोटिफाई। तो इसके केस में जितनी जल्दी हो सकता है आप अपील फाइल कर।
आई होप संचित जी दैट आंसर्स योर क्वेश्चन। अगर रह गया आपका क्वेश्चन तो हैंड रेज कीजिएगा। अश्विनी जी इज आस्किंग whether composition dealer is liable to pay RCM on rent of commercial building। आई थिंक सर ये आपने कवर कर दिया ऑलरेडी।
ऑलरेडी नोटिफिकेशन आ गई है, वो डेट भी बताई थी शायद, मैं फिर भी दोबारा बता देता हूँ। शायद वो डेट है 15 जनवरी 8 से हाँ सर, वो डेट है 16 जनवरी, नॉट 15 जनवरी, 16 जनवरी से कंपोजिशन डीलर को नहीं देना। और पहले वाले के लिए उन्होंने एज इज वेयर इज बेसिस पे रेगुलराइज भी कर दिया, तो उसको कभी भी नहीं देना। यानी ये प्रोविजन आया था 10/10/2024 को, तो 10/10/2024 से लेकर 15 जनवरी तक एज पर सर्कुलर एज इज वेयर इज बेसिस पे रेगुलराइज कर दिया, और 16 जनवरी से कंपोजिशन डीलर को नहीं देना। तो अगर कंपोजिशन डीलर ने दिया है या नहीं दिया है, उसको नहीं देना। बड़ा क्लियर है।
Sanjay ji, kindly continue your query.
Thank you, Neha, for the opportunity. Actually, sir, I'll continue with my query regarding section 107 and मेरा question sir ये है the financial years in question are 17-18, 18-19, 19-20. The issue is regarding a misclassification of a service. हमने उसको exempt category में consider करके उसका tax pay नहीं किया था, but later on we realized that it is taxable. So we deposited the tax and we deposited the interest. But the department has issued the order under section 74 imposing 100% penalty. So my question is two-pronged, sir. पहला, अगर हम अपील में जाके इसको हम 73 में कन्वर्ट करवा पाते हैं, but after the time permitted under section 128A, तो क्या हमें रिलीफ का बेनिफिट मिलेगा?
मैंने आपको बताया ना, उसके लिए 6 months फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ द ऑर्डर है।
जी सर, आपने बोला था सर, मैं इसको इसीलिए क्लैरिफाई कर।
आपने फाइल कर दी और उस अपील में उसने 73 का ऑर्डर किया लेटर से अक्टूबर में, तो आपको उसके बाद 6 महीने मिलेंगे।
ओके, दिस इज द वन थिंग। सेकंड, मेरा सर एक बार फिर से मैं कंफर्म करना चाहूंगा, ऑर्डर हमारा आया 4 फरवरी 2025 को। मानते हैं कि सेक्शन 107 की अमेंडमेंट 1 अप्रैल 2025 को नोटिफाई हो जाती है, तो इट विल बी एप्लीकेबल ऑन द ऑर्डर्स इशूड आफ्टर दैट डेट।
अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, ऑर्डर्स इशूड ओनली आफ्टर दैट डेट।
अपील अगर उसके बाद होगी तो
आप जो आर्टिकल 20 पढ़ेंगे तो वो भी आपको सपोर्ट करेगा।
ये सर, वो तो बात तो है, बट डिपार्टमेंटल ऑफिसर्स नहीं।
अभी तो ये नोटिफाई नहीं होने वाला, डोंट वरी। 75 दिन का टाइम होता है प्रेसिडेंट को साइन करने के लिए, तो ये साइन कहीं जाके होगा। आप मान लो फरवरी है ना, तो फरवरी मार्च 15 अप्रैल के आसपास, फिर उसके बाद ये नोटिफिकेशन निकालेंगे। फिर स्टेट में होनी है अमेंडमेंट, CGST में अमेंडमेंट किए बिना भी ये नोटिफाई नहीं कर सकते। तो अकॉर्डिंग टू मी इट विल टेक लॉट मोर टाइम।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर।
सर मूविंग ऑन, ललित जी का क्वेरी था कुछ 128A का, बट ही इज नॉट कमिंग ऑन द अनम्यूट सेक्शन. देयर इज अदर केस ही हैज आस्क्ड. Demand order under section 73 for interest amount only for 17, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20. There is no tax demand as interest liability only because of late filing of GST return and late payment of taxes. However,
कहा था नेहा कि लेट फाइलिंग ऑफ रिटर्न इंटरेस्ट ड्यू ऑन टैक्स नहीं है। GSTR 1 और 3 भी लेट करेंगे या अपना लेट टैक्स जमा करेंगे, वो तो एलिजिबल ही नहीं है। मैंने बड़ा फोकस दे के ये कहा था, मैं दोबारा रिपीट कर रहा हूँ, ये जो इंटरेस्ट का वेवर है दैट इज ओनली अमाउंट ऑफ टैक्स ड्यू। इफ दिस इंटरेस्ट और पेनल्टी इज फॉर लेट फाइलिंग ऑफ रिटर्न और लेट फाइलिंग ऑफ लेट पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स, दिस एमनेस्टी इज नॉट एट ऑल एप्लीकेबल।
अच्छा, क्योंकि सर ये आगे पूछ रहे थे SPL 2 में ऑप्शन नहीं आ रहा ऑर्डर का, तो वो इसी वजह से नहीं आ रहा, बिकॉज इट इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल।
अब ऑप्शन का तो मुझे पता नहीं, मैं कोई पोर्टल खोलता नहीं हूँ, बट मुझे इतना पता है कि एप्लीकेबल है।
ओके सर, मूविंग ऑन।
जी
सर भरत सर, ये अभी ये GST रेट्स का वो पूछ रहे हैं सर, कि कोई GST रेट्स में कोई मेजर चेंजेस हैं क्या?
भैया, रेट का तो मुझे भी याद नहीं रहता, क्योंकि ना मैं व्यापारी हूँ ना मैं, मेरे को इतना पता है CA की सर्विस का रेट चेंज नहीं हुआ, वो 18% ही है। तो रोज रेट चेंज होते रहते हैं, कैसे बताऊँ? इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू से।
मनदीप सर, काइंडली अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ. मनदीप सर, काइंडली आस्क योर क्वेश्चन.
मेरी ना 5:30 बजे एक मीटिंग है वो भी वेबिनार, मतलब वर्चुअली है, 5:30 है, तो मुझे 5:20-25 तक फ्री कर देना।
हाँ सर, कर देंगे. वैसे क्वेश्चन तो बहुत सारे हैं. मैं फटाफट पूछ देती हूँ जो जो क्वेश्चंस अवेलेबल हैं. सुमेश जी पूछ रहे हैं, सर लेट सपोज अ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन रिसीव्स रेंट from residential dwelling. Since he is registered, he must be filing returns. I just want to confirm whether he needs to declare rent from residential dwelling as exempt supply in the return.
उनको नंबर लेने की भी क्या जरूरत है? Once he is involved only in residential dwelling which is exempted, if you have taken the number, then of course you have to. Aggregate turnover दिखाना पड़ेगा, then exemption में आपको exemption claim करनी पड़ेगी. It is taxable. Residential dwelling has been exempted in notification number 12/2017.
Aman sir is asking, in case of restaurant service, a person having turnover above 5 crore and paying GST at 5% without claiming input credit, please guide whether he is liable for GST under reverse charge on rent paid to non-registered person.
Why not? It is not a composition scheme. It is a concessional rate of tax subject to non-availability of ITC. Yes, he will be liable.
Vikas ji is asking whether residential property taken by bank for their employees are covered under RCM, whether it matters if rent is paid directly to landlord or reimbursed to their employees.
Better course is the lease agreement is very important. That should be between the employee and the landlord, not between the bank and the landlord. If that being so, for the purpose of guarantee, it can be a corporate lease, but the tenant or the lessee must be the person concerned, then there is no need.
Narinder ji is asking if I'm filling an application under 128A, do I also need to file a separate application for rectification for 16(4) cases, or will it be automatic once I have calculated tax amount of 128A?
You have to file a rectification of mistake application. But while making the payment, you can do the calculation and pay, let that application be filed, and then you file your SPL 0 or 2 as the case may be.
TR Goyal sir is asking, can GST credit note be issued for the full amount of the invoice raised with the reason for issuance of new invoice on different date against the earlier invoice so raised?
Please read section 34. It can be issued only in 3 situations: when the value of supply, rate of tax, or deficiency of service or return of goods is involved, not in any other case.
Sanjeev sir is asking, in case of LLP registered under GST providing medical services to a hospital, it is a B2B transaction. It is getting paid on sharing basis by the hospital. Is the LLP liable to charge GST on such medical services?
आपके क्वेश्चन में बहुत सारा वेगनेस है कि प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल नहीं होता है जो आप कह रहे हैं. What is exempted is medical services. Medical service can be provided only by one person who is taking money from the patient. Rest may be or may not be a service. Rest may be for infrastructure support, etc. So we need to examine these facts very carefully. Then only I can answer.
Sanjeev sir, you can always get in touch with Batra sir, or you can mail it to us.
मेरा
Piyush
नंबर
sir
है,
is-
मेरे को WhatsApp पे नोट बना के भेज दें, I'll answer it.
Yes, Piyush sir is asking, appeal for FY 1920 if not decided before 31st March 25, in that case can be moved for amnesty after 31st March 25.
Payment of tax has to be made before 31st March. Application can be filed up to 30th June normally. So benefit is certainly available 19-20. If it is not, order is not passed, withdraw the appeal. If you already paid the tax, you are already benefit for this. Where is the need to wait for the order? They say wherever the appeal is pending, you file your SPL 1 or 02 as the case may be. In this case, it will be SPL 02 only. So SPL 02 आप file करो और appeal को withdraw कर लो.
Mandeep Singh is there.
Mandeep ji, do you still want to talk? Mandeep ji, would you like to ask your question?
He has just unmuted himself.
Mandeep ji, kindly quickly ask your question. We are short of time. Sir, moving on. Arun ji is asking, Section 73 time limit is over for issuing notice, and department issue notice under Section 74 by anti-evasion department. Although our case not fall under Section 74, still
Who
we
will
reply
decide?
to query of
And they have a, who will decide that? You will decide or the department will decide? If the department has invoked 74, in your opinion, it is not invocable, go into appellate proceeding or the adjudication proceeding and challenge it. You cannot decide. It is only the authorities or the court who has to decide. Once the authority has issued your notice, you feel that they have wrongly invoked 74, then you have to agitate it.
थैंक यू सर। प्रहलाद सर, कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम वाला बत्रा सर ऑलरेडी 2 बार बता चुके हैं, काइंडली रीवॉच द वीडियो ऑन यूट्यूब। मनदीप जी का एक्चुअल क्वेश्चन सर ये था, इफ कमर्शियल प्रॉपर्टी गिवन ऑन रेंट बाय अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन टू अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, वेदर आरसीएम विल स्टिल बी एप्लीकेबल फॉर जीएसटी?
No.
सर
Unregistered
अश्विनी गुप्ता,
person, if he has given it to the registered person, RCM is not applicable.
सर अश्विनी गुप्ता जी पूछ रहे हैं, व्हाट इफ आरसीएम नॉट पेड बाय कॉम्पोजिशन डीलर फॉर अक्टूबर नवंबर दिसंबर, देन टू पे फॉर नवंबर और नॉट?
No. As per the departmental circular, it has been regularized as is where is basis. No need to make the payment.
ओके
Even for October, November, December also.
Sir, TR Goyal ji is asking, supplier has issued an invoice for supply of goods or services and later on issued a credit note due to non-receipt of consideration. Receipt has not been accepted.
Non-receipt of consideration, you cannot issue a credit note. I have told you only 3 situations. It is a bad act.
Sir,
You
moving
cannot
on.
issue a credit note. Kindly read section 34 carefully. Neha, it is already 17:21.
Yes, sir.
9 minutes are
हाँ,
left to join another
yes.
meeting.
Yes, sir. 2-3 क्वेश्चन और ले लें, if that's okay.
कर लो मैडम, पर जल्दी कर लो। मुझे ना मैंने इसलिए आधा घंटा छोड़ा था, 5:30 बजे उन्होंने कहा 5 बजे नहीं 5:30 करेंगे, क्योंकि कई बार क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन लंबा चल जाता है।
ठीक है सर, क्लोज करते हैं। 3-4 क्वेश्चन हमारे रह गए हैं। मैं पार्टिसिपेंट्स को रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि आप अपने क्वेश्चंस बत्रा सर को डायरेक्टली शेयर कर सकते हैं। मैं उनका नंबर अभी चैट बॉक्स में शेयर कर देती हूँ। एंड सर, थैंक यू सो मच, आप अपना आज टाइम निकाल के आए, हमारे सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स को इतना एनलाइटन किया। एंड थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग सो पेशेंट बाय आंसरिंग ऑल द क्वेरीज ऑफ आवर पार्टिसिपेंट्स। एंड वी होप कि हम और ऐसे सेशंस कर पाए इन द नियर फ्यूचर। And I thank all the participants also for joining us today. मैंने बत्रा सर का नंबर चैट बॉक्स में शेयर कर दिया है. You can always get in touch with him through WhatsApp or call. Thank you so much. We'll now close the session.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye.